Reese Curtis wants to know, what positions do we need to look at recruiting for? For me, maybe a new goalkeeper. Pladkin and Walton contracts both expire. Centre back with Premier League experience. Centre mid with Premier League experience. And a striker with Premier League experience. So basically an entire new squad, Reese, is what you're saying. I'd like to see us take a chance on Burrows at Peterborough, good backup to Leaf. Right then, AJ, you watch more football than is often, I think, physically possible. Where do you think Town need to be looking? I appreciate we're now jumping forward into the Premier League. But what do you reckon?
Everywhere, basically. I think that there needs to be an idea of either strengthening or adding depth in every single position. You guys don't know this, but quietly, whenever a name jumps to mind, I jot it down in a little list.
Wow,
there.
That's a hell of a list.
It's a hell of a list, isn't it? So there's always some ones there where I'm like, oh, if they went down that route, could they go for someone like that? We obviously do pieces on that. I think that without going into too many specifics, I think the Championship has a lot of value when you look at the top end of the Championship, when you look at players that have been shining at teams that maybe haven't reached the top 6 or haven't got promoted yet. There's so many to go through. Pains me to say it, the one that was mentioned there, Harrison Burrows, like him a lot. Big step up if he was going to do it. Scores lots of goals, gets lots of assists. But definitely if he was going to be moving to Town, also knowing how hard a bargain Darren McAntony drives with transfers, as we know with the Jack Taylor one, I think that will be a tricky one, but I'd like to see him loaned out lower. I think there is a move on the cards for him in the summer. Foreign markets, again, one that would be interesting to see whether they go and explore. It's not that they haven't been looking at it, as Mark Ashton said, but it's finding the right player and the right deal. There will be ones out there for sure, because you can't purely shop in the English window, I'd say, especially when coming into the Premier Leagues. We've seen even with Luton exploring those kind of markets there as well. But yeah, I think there's a lot of variety to have there in terms of positions. It's hard to pinpoint because you're going to want things like potentially a proven Premier League striker. They're obviously going to hopefully try and get Amari Hutchinson back. They might try and get another midfielder, who can add some depth alongside Sam Morsey, proven centre-backs. Maybe some extra depth at right back with Harry Clark recovering from a lengthy surgery. We'll have to wait and see how long he's going to be out for. But pretty much looking through it, you can argue that you could look at players for every position, to be honest.
Right then, let's move this on in a kind of different way, Stu, and it's a kind of different approach to the same question. Matthew Casburn, who knocked on my door recently, oddly, out of the blue. Good to see you, Matt. Realistically, who do you think can make the step up in the current squad? How many signings do each of you predict before the window slams shut? Great work, great podcast. Keep up the good work, gents. Thank you, Matt. So, Stu, the easy thing to do is look at Ipswich Town squad and say, God, they need to buy God knows how many new players. But clearly, we've talked about this before. They can't go out and just blow the squad, because one of the main strengths of the squad, the underpinning thing that has taken behind this remarkable ascent of Ipswich Town, has been that camaraderie, that balance in the squad. And you can't then bring in 10 new players or on massive wages, because that's going to completely throw that off kilter. You surely want to keep that band of brothers feel, which would be thrown off. So what do you think about all this?
Put a number on it. 6 to 8 signings is what I've got kind of there. You're talking about 25-man squad is the limit, not including under 21s, but obviously there's 5 loan players that need replacing. I know there's a lot of talk about the positions that were just mentioned being through the spine of the team, but fullback looks really light. It's only really Davis and Clark that are the sort of the fit fullback options, really. So given the athleticism that's required in those positions, the higher up you go, I think that they'll need some strengthening there as well. But as Alex says, it's not like the entire first team needs replacing, but you could argue that we talked about the analogy of the water rising and improving sort of from just providing competition throughout. I mean, striker, really, I think George Hurst is a player capable of stepping up to the Premier League, but I think he'll need someone to really compete with him. You could go through the whole way through that team and just say a bit of healthy competition to push these guys, not necessarily sort of oust them all out of the starting 11, but some work to do this summer for sure.
Striker's the obvious one, isn't it? And it's always the sexiest one because obviously stepping up into the Premier League, you need goals. If you're going to win, get draws, you need goals. So a proven Premier League striker, cliche alert,